Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ifoma. So today we are going to be making this stylish tube dress with an elastic strap. All right, so if this look like what you're interested in, definitely watch till the end, and don't forget to subscribe and also give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive into the video. So like I said earlier, we're going to be using a new method to achieve this bust dart. Okay, so if you have been following my channel, you're going to notice that I have a particular method that I use to achieve my bust dart, but for this illustration I want to try something I learned new. All right, so let's learn a new thing together. All right, so this is my bust point, my underbust, and the half length of the gown I'm making. And then on my bust point, I'm going to take my half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. Okay, so on the under bust, what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 1 inch from this 4 inches that I have here, so which is going to give me 3 inches. All right, because I want to try the new method I told you I learned. So let's work with this and see what the result is going to be. Okay, so here I have 3 inches. Then here I'm going to add 0.2, which is 1/4 of an inch, to these 3 inches that we have here. So we are going to have 3 1/4 here. All right, we have 3 1/4 here, we have 3 inches here, and we have 4 inches here. All right, so having gotten this, the next thing we are going to do is on the shoulder line, we are going to divide our shoulder measurement by 2. All right, this is our shoulder measurement. All right, so if you don't know how we achieve our everything we have here, this basic pattern we draft here, you can go ahead to check other videos I have in my channel. All right, I do this a lot in my channel. All right, so when I divide what I have from here to here into 2, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and connect that line to the bust point. Okay, this is what I have. So having gotten this, the next thing I'm going to do is to take in my dart tightening. But before I take in my upper bust tightening, I want to go up on the chest line by 3/4 of an inch. All right, I want to go up on the chest line by 3/4 of an inch. So this is what I have, because I want it to be higher on the chest line. All right, so having gotten that, I'm going to take my bust tightening on that point, and I'm going to use 3/4 of an inch to have my over bust tightening. All right, for this side. So having gotten that, I'm going to go ahead now and connect my dart. You can see me doing. This is what we have. All right, so I've connected here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my curve and connect this point, and this point together. Okay, so I'm trying to get my curve to touch all the points that we are going to connect. All right, so this is what we have for this part. All right, so getting to the other side, I'm going to take from here, which is my under bust tightening, I'm going to take 3 inches to get my under bust tightening. So from here I'm taking 3 inches to this other part. All right, this is what we have, 3 inches here. And on this part, I'm going to remove 1/4 of an inch from that 3 inches, just like we did before. I'm going to remove 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to have 2 3/4. Okay, here, right, we're going to have 2 3/4 here. And then also on the over bust, I'm going to use 3/4 of an inch to tighten my over bust. All right, so having gotten that, I'm going to go ahead and connect as well. All right, so this is what we have. All right, so the next thing we are going to do, we are almost through with this. We are going to connect here to the center. This is the center front, right? We are going to connect from here to the center, and to get that, I'm going to come down by 1 inch on my mid pattern. Okay, on the center front. Then I'm going to use this curve here to connect from the tip of the dart to the center front. All right, this is what we have. And on the side, this is the armhole, right? I'm going to come down by 1 inch, but before then I'm going to take my bust measurement on my chest line. I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4, but I'll be doing it on the chest line. That is how I got here, if you know how we normally do it. Okay, that is how I got here, right? So this is what we have. Okay, and I'm going to replace this dart. So when I measure this dart, what you have is 1.5. I'm going to replace it here. All right, so on that point, on that 1.5 point, now I'm going to come down by 1 inch. All right, and I'm going to connect from the tip of the dart here to that 1 inch using my curve. All right, so this is what we have. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now that we have replaced this dart, we are going to take our underbust measurements. Okay, so this is how I'm going to be measuring it. Our underbust measurement divided by 4 is 7.5. All right, is 7.5. So I'm going to take what I have here. This is 3 inches. From that 3 inches, I'm going to continue from here. Okay, just hold whatever you have here, then skip the dart part, the tie that is going off, skip it, and then you continue from here till you get your 7.5 inches. Okay, so you're still going to get the same thing even if you do it the other way around. All right, the way we normally do it, I'm going to take my measurement. This is what I have, and then I'm going to replace my dart. Okay, can you see? We see arrived at the same thing. All right, so on the waist part, which is the half length, I'm going to take quarter of my waist measurement. Okay, I'm going to take quarter of my waist measurement, which is 7.5 as well. All right, then I'm going to replace the dart here. So this is the dart that we have. Okay, I'm going to replace it here, and this is what we have. All right, so having gotten this, I'm just going to go ahead and connect. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, this part is going off. As we all know, this part is going off. Okay, so when we have gotten this, let me just go ahead and make this part visible so we know exactly where we are cutting from. Okay, so this is what we have. So the style that is on the underbust, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down from the underbust line by 1/2 inch. Okay, because we don't want it to start directly on the underbust, so I want to add 1/2 inch to it. Okay, I hope you understand this. I don't want this to start directly on the underbust. I'm adding 1/2 inch. So this is optional. If you want it to start directly on your underbust, go ahead and leave it where it is. But I don't want mine to start directly on the underbust. That is why I came down by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go up from that new line. This is our new, let's call this our new underbust. I'm going to go up by 1 inch. Okay, this is how wide I want mine to be. So if you want yours to be 1.5, you can also do 1.5. Okay, let me just do 1.5 so it becomes more obvious. And then on the other side, I'm going to go in by 1.5 as well. Okay, this is how open I want mine to be. So if you want yours to be more open than this, you can go in by 2. If you want it to be a little, you don't want it to be very open, you can go in by 1. Okay, so this depends on what you want. Okay, so this is what we have. So this part is going out as well. Okay, so having gotten this, we are going to go ahead now and cut everything we have here. All right, so this is what we have. This is what we have here. So we are going to go ahead and cut this part out. This part is going to be the band. Okay, remember this style we are making have a band, and then the band started right on the underbust. So I'm going to cut this part out as the band. We are going to use it to cut out our band. Right, so after I was done cutting it out, I'm going to go ahead and tape it together. Okay, we are going to tape it together like this, because we are going to be cutting a 1-piece band and not 2 pieces band. Okay, so I'm going to tape it together to give us 1 piece. All right, so let me go ahead and tape it together. So here for the back, what I simply did was I placed the front on the back and pinned it down. This is the band. All right, don't mind whatever we have here. I'm going to explain to you. This is the band. Okay, so I'm going to mark where the band is starting. All right, this is chest line, right? I'm going to mark the chest line. Right, this is where the back is starting. I'm also going to place a mark there. Okay, so this is where the band is ending as well. So what I'm going to do is to connect this like this. Okay, so I know where it's going to end. Remember, we already taped out, we already taped out the cutting that is in the band for the front. So I just extended wherever it's supposed to be here, so that when I remove this, I'm going to have exactly what I have at the front. Okay, so having marked all these points, I'm going to remove the front so we can start working on the back. Okay, so this is the front. All right, I'm just going to draw out. Okay, so when I pin this, I forgot to say something about this. When I pin this together, if you can notice, I left 1 inch space on the center. That 1 inch is for the dart. So what I'm going to use for the dart of the back is 1 inch. Okay, so I place it like this. So I'm going to find the midpoint. Let me just mark this so we start working from there. All right, so this is what we have. That is the dart. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to measure 1 inch from this one dart leg. This is 1 inch, and then this is the midpoint, which is 0.5 inches. That is what we are going to use to get our dart. Okay, so if you notice, this is where the back started. Okay, and this is the chest line. So what I'm going to do now is, let me just draw out the chest line. This is the chest line, right? So what I'm going to do, I don't want the back to be high. Okay, so I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches for the back, because I want the back to be deeper than the front. Okay, so when I've achieved this, I'm just going to connect from the deep. This is our center back, as we all know, right? So I'm going to connect from the center back to the side back, making sure that the front and the back is going to be equal at the shaping side. So this is what I'm going to have. Okay, can you see? This is our new upper part of the back. So this is the back, the shaping for the back. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the dart. This is the dart. This is the dart line. This is the dart line. I'm going to take the dart line here. All right, so I'm going to also go ahead and take the dart. All right, this is what we have. Okay, so this is what we have for the dart. So having gotten this, next thing I'm going to do is to eliminate the bulge, and we are going to go in from the center back by 1/2 inch. Then from that point, we are going to connect to the top of this back like this. Okay, so in this way, we are going to have a straight zip after fixing. The zip will not be bulging, the zip will not be bulging up. Okay, so this is what we have. So we are going to go ahead now and cut out this part. All right, after cutting out that part, we're also going to go ahead and cut out here, which is the band. Remember that we already have it separated on the front. We're going to be using it to be cutting out a straight band. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and cut out. This is the center back and this is the side back. This is what I have for the back. I'm going to go ahead now and also tape this band for the back together, just like we did for the front. Okay, and then we'll continue. So to draft the down part, I'm going to be using this piece of pattern paper, and this is going to be the center, right? So I want to draft this as the front and the back. I'm going to be drafting both the front and the back with this same pattern. So what I'm going to do now is to take out zipper allowance for the back. I'm just going to use 1 inch. I'm going to use 1 inch here. So I'm just going to mark out 1 inch. Okay, so this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the length of the down part, okay, from the waist. We're just using this as the length of the skirt, okay, which is the down part of this project. It's 27 inches, so I'm going to be adding 2 inches, making it 29 inches. All right, so I'm going to draw a straight line to connect to that 29 inches here. So here, this is what we have. So I'm going to label this the zipper for the back when we are cutting the back. So while we are cutting the front, I'm not going to cut that part out. All right, so this is the full length of the down part we are making, right? So here, remember that this place is just the guide, the waistline, okay? So let me label this the waist. This is just the guide to where we are starting our measurements, all right? So the next thing I'm going to do is to get my waist to hip measurement, which I use 9 inches. So this depends on your length. If you are not so tall, you can go ahead and use 8 inches, all right? So I'm going to connect this part, this 9 inches here. I'm going to connect it like this, okay? And that place will be our hip line. So let me label this the hip line. All right, so after we have gotten this, the next thing we are going to do is I'm going to take my dart measurement, which I don't normally use because of my size. So I am not so curvy. I'm not going to be putting dart on this skirt, but I'm still going to show you, in case if you want to put that, how you are going to go about it. Okay, so from your center front, remember that this is the center front, which is the CF, and then we say we are going to also use it as the center back, and this is the zipper. Don't get confused. So from this center front here, this is the center front. Let me use my ruler to make it clearer so we understand exactly what we are doing. All right, so from the center here, I'm going to come in by my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. Okay, so my nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches, and then from the hip line I'm going to go up by 3 inches. Okay, so when I've done this, I'm going to take that same nipple to nipple measurement here, so I'm sure I'm on the safer side. Okay, so I'm going to connect these 2 dots like this. All right, so after getting this, next we are going to take is our dart line, okay, which is 0.5 inches on both sides like this. After we have gotten this, we are just going to go ahead and connect our dart line like this. Is just the normal way we take our everyday dart. Okay, I'm just going to connect like this. All right, so this is what we have. So in case you are taking your dart, just know that this is exactly the way you are going to take your dart. But like I said before, I'm not going to be making use of this dart because I'm not that curvy. So if you are very curvy, make sure you always have a dart on your skirt. All right, so having gotten all this, we are going to go ahead and take our waist measurement, divide it by 4, and then whatever we have, we are going to place it here. All right, so if you have already taken your dart, okay, that means when you have gotten your waist measurement here, which is waist circumference divided by 4, what you are going to do is you are going to replace this dart. You're going to be taking your dart. That means you are going to replace whatever you have in between your dart leg here, replace it on this measurement here. Okay, so on your hip line, you are going to divide your hip line by 4, and whatever you have, you are going to place it here. All right, remember we have not added any sewing allowance to this. All right, so from your hip line now, whatever you have here, you are going to decide how pencil you want it to be. All right, so I normally like minusing 1.5 inches from whatever I have on my hip line. Okay, that is going to make this pencil very well. All right, so I'm going to impute whatever I have on my hip line. I'm going to minus 1.5 inches from it. Okay, that is what I have here. So I'm going to now go ahead and connect all these dots. So this is what we have. This is what we have for the front pattern from this center front. Okay, so remember I said we are going to be using this exact thing to cut the back. All right, so what I'm going to do now is on the zipper side of the back, on the zipper side, we are going to come in by 1/2 of an inch, just shaping our zipper side to eliminate zip bulge. Okay, I'm going to come in by 1/2 of an inch, and then I'm going to go up from the hip line by 3 inches, and then I will connect like so. All right, so this is what we have. Okay, so we are going to be cutting this part off. All right, so we are going to be using like this for the back and then this for the front. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is, because we have a slit on the skirt on the front, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the line for the slit. Okay, and the line for this for the slit is going to be our dart line. So I'm just going to extend whatever we have here on the dart leg. I'm going to extend it to the end like this. Okay, so on that line I've already gone ahead to measure how deep I want my slit to be. So when I measured from my waist to the slit, it was 17 inches. So that is what I'm going to mark here. All right, so we are going to slit here after we are done cutting. We're going to slit from here to this side after we are done cutting. So right now we are through with drafting the pattern. What I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut out. Alright, so this is what we have. We are going to use this to cut out the front and the back. So here I went ahead to interface my fabric and also cut out. As you can see, I added 0.5 inches all around. This is the center front, and I'm using this different color of fabric to make the center front. So this is what we have. All right, so the side back as well, I added 0.5 inches on the top and on the side, and then on the center side. So here on the shaping side, I added 1.5 inches for the shaping allowance and also the turning. So this is the side front. Did exactly the exact same thing. I did the exact same thing here, and then on the side I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance as well. Okay, so on the center, this is the center back. I added 0.5 inches on the top and on the bottom. Then I also added a zipper allowance. As you can see, this is my zipper allowance. I used 1.5 inches for that as well. So after I was done doing this, I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the band. So for the band, we are going to be cutting 2 pieces. The band is going to be 2 pieces, okay, because we are going to be joining on the top and on the bottom, as this is a gown, it has a top and the bottom side. So here I folded in my band like this. Okay, I folded in my band like this. This is a fabric unfold, so I'm going to fold it again because I want to be cutting the front and the back at the same time. Right, so this is what I have. Remember, we are going to be having one piece. We joined the center side, that is the shaping side. So this is why we have this, we have it like this. Okay, so we're also going to be adding our zipper allowance. So as you can see, I folded in like this, and I'm going to be adding 1.5 as my zipper allowance. All right, so this is what I have. The center, this is the center front, right, and this is the upper part. Remember the side that I put the arrow, that shows us that that part is the part going to the upper side. Okay, so I pin this, making sure that the center side is on fold. So the side as well, I'm also going to pin the center back like this. Okay, so I'm going to be adding 0.5 inches on both the top and on the bottom as well. All right, 0.5 inches on the top and on the bottom. Then on the center back, we are going to be adding 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and cut out. So you can also go ahead and interface if you want yours to have an interfacing. If not, this is what we have. This is the part going to the top, and this is the part going to the bottom. Okay, so here I'm just going to mark out just so I know the front and the back. At the end of the day, this is how it's going to be looking. Okay, so I'm going to place this aside. So for the front here, I went ahead to pin the pattern paper, and as you can see, the center front, I told you that this line is the center front, so I made sure that it's equal with the fold of the skirt. All right, so you can go ahead and fold it like this so that you understand, you will be on the safer side. Okay, as you can see, if I fold away now the zip allowance, I have it to be equal with the center front. Okay, so this is what we have. I went ahead to add 0.5 inches on the shaping side. So for the down part, remember we added 2 inches to this pattern when we are drafting. So we are going to be using that 2 inches to turn up our skirt. Alright, so that is what you see me notching here. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do now is the slit for the front. Okay, so you are going to determine where you want the slit to be. You are going to determine where you want the slit to be. So here I'm just marking out the slit. So once I open the skirt, I'm going to determine the side I want the slit to be and just cut open. All right, so I'm going to separate the pattern and the skirt, open it up. All right, so I want the slit to be on the left side, of the dress. So this is the left side of the dress, as this is the wrong part. So I'm going to determine where the slit stops, which is here, and where the slit starts as well, which is here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw out and cut out. All right, so remember we're going to be folding away 2 inches from the down. So I'm just going to go up like this by 2 inches and then connect. So this is what we have for this part. So this is what we have after cutting. I also added the zipper allowance and the shaping side for the shaping allowance for the back part, and this is what we have. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut the lining. So if yours have a lining, do well to cut lining. Okay, if yours have a lining, do well to cut lining for it. All right, so let me go ahead now and cut out lining for this piece. So here I'm done cutting the lining and also interfacing it. The next thing I'm going to do now is to pad the bust part. Okay, so I'm going to place the back aside and I'm going to be using a light stay to pad. So this is the light stay I'm going to be using. The first thing I'm going to do is to fold this into 2 like this. Okay, I need to say that this light stay is feasible. That means it has a comb. So I normally would just place it on top of whatever I'm making and then use my pressing iron to comb it, to hold it. So this is how I place this. All right, this is how I place it, and it's going to stop at the underbust. All right, so look closely to see how I'm going to be cutting. So I stop directly on the underbust, and then I'm going to trace this part and then cut it like this. Okay, so this is what we have. This is what it's going to look like. Can you see? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this part as well. So if you want to get your padding size, if you want to know how to pad to get your accurate measurement, just remove whatever you added for your sewing allowance. In my case, I added 1.5. Then from there, measure 2 inches. Wherever the 2 inches stop, that is where your cup is going to stop. Here we are done with the prepping part. We have prepared everything that we'll be needing. So the first thing we're going to do is to join, and we're going to be joining the upper part first. Okay, so we are going to place this starting from the down part. Please, whenever you're joining your princess dart or anything that has a princess dart, whether it's a bustier or not, always start from the down parts. Okay, so here I'm going to start here and I'm going to use 0.5 inches to join till I get to the top. Okay, after joining, I'm going to place this side and do the exact same thing. Okay, so after that, I'm going to join the lining the exact same way I joined the actual fabric. I'll also go over to the back and also join. As we all know, this is the side back and this is the center back. So I'm going to be joining like this, and I'm also going to join this part like this as well. I'm also going to go ahead and join the lining. So when we are done joining, we are going to notch and press, and then we're going to continue from there. This is what we have after joining and pressing. Can you see how this cup is looking so fine? Okay, can you see? This is how the cup is standing. This is how this cup is looking so fine. See the deepness of the cup. This is just perfect for my cup size. I also went ahead to join the back and also the lining and press. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to turn the lining. Okay, so I'm going to turn all around. I'm going to turn the shaping side, the upper part, the shaping side as well, and then the opening we have here. Okay, we're not going to turn here because you know we are attaching a band to it, so we're not going to turn here. All right, I'll also go ahead and turn the back. I'll go ahead and turn the back. We turn the up, the zipper side, the shaping side, and we're not going to turn the down part. Okay, so while I'm turning the top, I will also go ahead and turn the down part. Okay, so this is the down part. I'll go ahead and turn the down part as well. So let me quickly go over to my sewing machine and turn everything. After we are done turning and ironing, can you see how neat this looks? So I also went ahead to prepare the strap. I don't know if I should call this a strap or just the strap. Yes, so what I did was I cut out a 3 inches in wideness, a 3 inches wide fabric, then I folded it into 2, turn it to give me 1.5 inches. Okay, so I used a 1 inch elastic to place inside. I passed the 1 inch elastic inside, and then I stretch it to get to the desired elasticity that I need. That is what I did here, and I placed it on my fabric and then turn everything with the lining. Okay, I hope you understand this, but if you don't, I will need you to, and we need me to do a video on how to achieve that. Tell me in the comment section so I can do a video for you. All right, so moving on, what we are going to do now after I've achieved this is to shape. All right, we are going to shape this before we place the band. So I'm going to go ahead and shape this, and then for the down part as well, I also went ahead to turn and iron it. Okay, so this is what we have. I'm also going to go ahead and shape. All right, so after shaping both the down and the front, then we are going to come back here and show us how to attach the band. After I was done shaping, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to attach the band. So this is one side of the band, as we all know, and this is the second part. Okay, so I'm going to first of all attach this first part. I can do the two of them together, but I'm going to use my pin to hold down this first part. Okay, so what I did was, this is the midpoint. I folded it like this in the midpoint, then I placed it like this, making sure that the midpoint here is equal to the midpoint here. All right, so I traced here. Can you see this part here? I traced this and I notched it, so I'll make sure that this band is at the center. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, so when we have achieved that, this is the second part. I'm going to be putting this one under, while the one I interfaced is at the top. Okay, you can go ahead and interface yours if you want. Okay, can you see? I'll make sure that the center is aligning, so I'll pin it down because we are going to be sewing from here, right? So then on this other side, I'll make sure the two bands are together plus the upper part of this project. So I'll make sure that the upper part of this project is in between the two bands. They are all touching here. Can you see? They are all equal here. So I'm going to pin down because I'm going to be sewing the 3 of them together. Okay, I'm going to pin down. All right, so I'm going to continue pin down till I get to the end. That is how I'm going to use 0.5 inches to sew. All right, so let me go ahead and pin this place down as well. Okay, so you have to make sure that all the parts are aligning. Then we are going to sew till we get to the zipper side. Okay, so when we get to the zipper side, we are going to shift this inside out a little bit so we can sew this part as well, just so it follows the neatness of the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to sew this. What we have after we are done, can you see? Can you see what I was trying to explain before? Just so it follows the neatness of the zipper allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to attach the skirt. Okay, So I already notched the midpoint of my skirt here, and I already notched the midpoint of the band. So what I'm going to do is to align the two midpoints together like this. Align them together like this. Then I'm going to pin it down. Okay, then I'm just going to sew from the center to the side, as you can see. All right, 0.5 inches. Then come back and sew from this side to the other side. So after doing this, we are almost through. I'm just going to go ahead and fix my zipper, and then we are through. After we are done with everything, joining it, and also went ahead to give it a very nice press. Okay, always press your project when you are through. It's going to give it a very relaxing look, and if you see anywhere that is not relaxed, you can go ahead and do the correction immediately. Okay, so this is what we have. So if you are still watching till now, thank you very much for watching. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and also giving this video a thumbs up. You can do well to share this video to anybody you think might need something as beautiful as this. All right, so you can also drop your request on the comment section so I see them, and then I can recreate whatever you want us to recreate. All right, so I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.